YouTube, I just bought this, it's called like a chocolatera. It's from Colombia, from a company called IMUSA. And I'm going to use it to make tea. Like I put my herbs down there and it seems to be working out quite nice. It's almost 3 liters. The only problem with it is that the handle, the whole thing is aluminum and it conducts heat really well. And it gets really hot. You can't touch it. And it stays hot for a really long time. You know, you can use a rag, but I thought I would try and come up with a more permanent solution. So this is the idea I got, was to use this sort of epoxy putty. Okay, so I'm going to use this stuff. It's like a plastic epoxy in order to insulate it. I've prepared it. I sanded everything, and in the back there is a hollow space, and I filled it with little pieces of beach glass. I glued it in, and I sanded everything in the back as well. I figured I'd use glass because it's a relatively inefficient conductor of heat. So I'm going to mix this stuff up. It's pretty simple. Pretty simple. It says you wet your hands so it won't stick so much to your hands. And I got it here. You know, it's just basically like a 2-part epoxy. Just knead it together. It's green and white. Just keep mixing it until it's one consistent color. I'm hoping, since this is basically a plastic, it should as well be a good insulator. I know I could just use a rag, but I wanted to come up with a somewhat more permanent solution. Since this container is aluminum, it's conducting the heat really well, and it's pretty cheap. This only cost it costs less than $1, so I think it's a pretty cheap solution. Okay, so I'm gonna roughly measure what I need. So that's about it. I think that turned out pretty good. Fairly professional. We're gonna let it dry for about 3 hours and then test it out. YouTube. So I finished this project now, and it was somewhat of a success. It wasn't a full success. As you can see, it's boiling. I have some. I'm making mint tea, and I can't really pick it up just with the putty on it. I mean, you can see I can touch it, and it's pretty hot. It's not as hot as that. That I can like barely touch. What I realized, you can learn from my mistakes. What I should have done was wrapped it with some kind of like a flat cord. It's just like a flat nylon cord. I should have wrapped it first like that, and then put the putty over top of it. You know, something to insulate it a little bit better. I realized too that the glass isn't such a good insulator. I read more about it. At cold temperatures, glass is an insulator, but at hot temperatures, it becomes a conductor. But anyways, like that, it's no problem. I mean, it's boiling hot. I can pick it up. So, like I said, first use the cordage, then the putty. I might wrap it with cordage, and then I don't know if I can figure out something to coat it with, like a clear coating. Because actually, I mean, I kind of like the way that it looks, but I don't really know what kind of product I could use for that. Some kind of like really strong glue or something. I'm going to think more about it. Anyways, thanks for watching.